evening and a very warm welcome to The Point. I'm Birgit and it is such a blessing to be with you for the program. Well, the topic on the program tonight is all about exercise and the importance of exercise and activity in our everyday lives when it comes to our immune system, our energy levels and our general health and well-being. And joining me to discuss this is a special guest from the ministry Fit for Life Forever, GP and nutritionist Dr. Sue Kenneally. Sue, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Birgit. Nice to see you.
Well, you were recently with us for To The Point and we discussed the topic of nutrition, so it's wonderful to be speaking about a complementary subject tonight being exercise. But I wonder, Sue, before we get started on our discussion, there may be viewers who are seeing you for the first time, so would you be able to share a little bit about yourself and about your ministry Fit for Life Forever?
Yes, I'm a GP, as you said, and I work in the South Wales Valleys, which I love doing. That's close to home and it's where my heart is. So you know what a GP does, that's what I do. But when I'm not doing that, I love being involved in the ministry Fit for Life Forever, which is essentially a health ministry where we like to talk to people about the importance of health, nutrition and exercise as being a spiritual matter and not just something that you do because your doctor tells you to or somebody on the TV tells you to, but it actually really matters spiritually. So we do that. We've got a couple of books out and we have our website, which I know you have the details of that already. And we like to run day conferences, so if you ever want us to come to your church, we'll turn up for the day and we'll talk to you about food, we'll help you exercise, we'll feed you good stuff. And it's a lot of fun to be involved with, and we've seen lives transformed through it, so I love it.
It's just so helpful to hear about your ministry and, as you say, that it's rooted in God and in God's grace, and the way that the way we look after and steward our bodies is a spiritual issue. It's important to God and it brings blessing to our lives, so it's really helpful to hear that the ministry grounds it in that perspective, but also offers practical, helpful advice when it comes to our diets and the importance of activity. And actually, on that note, can I ask you that as our first question, can you share about why it is that exercise is so important for our general health and well-being?
I think exercise is important for just about every aspect of our health. And when I first started studying nutrition about 10 years ago now, I thought that was the answer, but I think I've changed my mind in that time, and I think I should actually have become a personal trainer because exercise just brings huge benefits to everything. It's great for weight control, it reduces your risk of cancer, it reduces your risk of stroke and heart disease and dementia. And it improves your mood. I could go on. There are endless lists of things that are improved by exercise. It's just a good all-round thing to do.
That is so helpful just to begin the discussion. I wonder if I could ask you about a particular area of our well-being, which is our immune system function. How does exercise benefit our immune system?
It certainly does. And exercising regularly, they say, probably 30 minutes 5 times a week is what's needed for most things. And if you study people who've been exercising and you take their blood and look at their cells in a lab and that sort of thing, exercise essentially reduces inflammation throughout your body. So I'm sure people watching now are thinking, well, hang on, I went for a run the other day and my legs ached for days and it was horrible and they were very inflamed, and that's certainly true, but I'm talking about inflammation throughout the rest of our body. So they reduce inflammation in your arteries, in your internal organs, in your liver, in your pancreas, in your brain, and just lots of other places. Exercising regularly reduces inflammation, and that's what it's all about. That's how to stay healthy.
That's really interesting to hear. So I wonder if I could ask you a question about exercise in relation to our energy levels, how increasing our amount of daily activity actually benefits our energy and gives us, basically just helps us, energizes us for the day.
I think 2 things really. One is that you sleep better. If you've exercised regularly, then you're going to be tired by the end of the day, which is what we want. That's different from not having energy through the day. So exercising regularly gets you nice and tired just about the time that you want to be going to sleep. And of course, exercise makes you fitter. And being fitter is associated with having more energy. That's what it does.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
really, really helpful. Well, I wonder if we could speak more about exercise in relation to sleep, as you've touched on that, because insomnia or lack of sleep, stress in people's lives might mean that actually getting a full, refreshing night's sleep is elusive for a lot of people. So you've touched on this point about how exercise is helpful for that. Before we discuss this further, I actually have a video along those lines, so perhaps we could look at that and come back to this point. So we'll go to this video now. It is all about the way that the relationship between exercise and our sleeping. So we'll look at that and be back with you in a few moments.
Many people run and keep on running, hoping to exercise right into a better night's sleep. And many doctors recommend it.
I was doling out this advice, but the feedback I was getting back from my patients were that I tried it and I didn't feel any better.
Barron decided to study the effects of exercise on sleep, and she found two things. One, hitting the pavement today will not necessarily help you sleep soundly tonight. It takes more time.
It's really been shown that exercise improves sleep over at least 4, maybe 8. In our study, we found 16 weeks of exercise. We really didn't see the improvement until 12 weeks.
And two, a key finding in the study,
most people expect that sleep improves with exercise, but we found actually that exercise improved after sleep.
researchers found that people exercise less after a poor night's sleep. And a good night's sleep is the key to improving your exercise tomorrow.
What sleep influences is motivation, how hard exercise feels, and also perhaps your mood and whether or not you want to do it or not.
In the study, patients felt more tired in the first 4 to 8 weeks, but sticking to an exercise program helped improve sleep by an average of 45 minutes a night, a big deal for someone with insomnia.
If they have a poor night of sleep, they shouldn't give up on their exercise, and they should basically just go out and do it.
So just do it for a better night's sleep in the future.
And back to the point, well, a helpful video there looking at the relationship between exercise and sleep. So as we watched that, was there anything that stood out for you in particular?
I must say I didn't realise it took quite that long for it to affect people's sleep.
Yeah.
And that's a new piece of information to me too, and I'm thrilled to hear it because I'll be able to take that back to my own patients.
Yes, and it was actually really helpful to look at the equation in the other way as well, to see the way that actually sleeping well benefits our exercise, gives us greater motivation, helps with our muscle strength and endurance. It was interesting to consider it from both sides.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that exercising after a poor night's sleep means you're more at risk of injury. You probably won't warm up or warm down as you should.
Yes.
So I think, sleep is a key factor in all of this.
I have an article here which, to carry on this point about the way that exercise benefits our sleeping, because I do think this is an important point. I think many people do suffer with insomnia or poor night sleeping, so it's really helpful just to consider this a bit further. This is an article from the National Sleep Foundation based in the US, and it highlights an extensive study that was done, and the opening point is that people sleep significantly better and feel more alert during the day when they get at least 150 minutes of exercise a week. And it says here that this 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity, which is apparently the national guideline, provides a 65% improvement in sleep quality. And people also said they felt less sleepy during the day compared with those who had less physical activity. And a professor of exercise science who commented on this said, we were using the physical activity guidelines set forth for cardiovascular health, but it appears that those guidelines might have a spillover effect to other areas of health as well. So interesting points raised there. Can I start off by asking you, is it a similar recommendation in the UK as well? Is it 150 minutes weekly exercises?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's what I actually mentioned at the beginning of this show, because that is the national recommendation. And it does benefit so many parts of our lives, not just sleep, but it's beneficial for heart disease and reducing cancer risk and many, many other things. And people who exercise a lot more than that sometimes say to me that they can't quite believe that exercising what to them is that little makes any difference, but it really, really does.
So for people that are watching and would like to integrate more activity, more exercise into their daily lives, but they're not used to exercising, what would you recommend to begin with?
The first advice is to do something you're going to enjoy. There's no point in punishing yourself. So think of an exercise that you love or that you can do, and just start there. Do what you can do now. The majority of trials that I've seen in my studies have just been where people have been encouraged to do something just as simple as exercise by walking. Just moderate walking, 30 minutes a day. That's all it needs to be. If you want to go for a mad run or a really big uphill cycle ride and that does it for you, then great, go and do that. But the most important thing is that you just keep moving. So whether it's walking, swimming, get a dog, anything that you can do to keep moving is a good thing.
So that's very helpful, just basically integrating more activity as we're able to. And walking is something that is accessible for most of us. And actually, it's great you've highlighted that, because we can talk further about this. We have a video to begin with, which highlights the benefits of walking. So we'll go to that video in the meantime, which considers all of the good things that come from integrating more walking into our daily lives. And we'll be back to discuss this further in a few moments.
There are many benefits of walking, but I'm going to tell you the top 5. The main benefit for walking is, and the most important one, is that it improves the function of the heart, the lungs and circulation, and so reduces the chance of heart disease, strokes, type 2 diabetes and certain cancers. It improves the condition of muscles, joints and bones, and so reduces the risk of osteoporosis. All that physical exercise helps you manage your weight and to lower your blood pressure. It also boosts your immune system and increases the good component of cholesterol. Walking is free, it's low impact with low risk of injury, it's available to almost everyone, and it really does improve one's self-image. So get out there, join a walking group and make a whole new circle of friends.
Welcome back to the Point. Well, a helpful video there considering some of the benefits that come with integrating more walking into our daily lives. It was a great video, don't you think, Sue?
I loved that.
Yes. And it was really helpful too, the way it emphasised the social aspects that come from walking and joining a walking group. What did you think of that?
It struck me as one of the things that we did say we might want to talk about. In terms of staying healthy, there are a number of things you can do. 1 is your diet, 2 is exercise, 3 is manage your stress as well as you can. But the 4th thing, which is equally important, is having social support, having a good network of people around you who make you feel welcome and loved. So I'm all for that.
That's so great. So you mentioned, as you were speaking then, about the benefits of exercise when it comes to stress. Can you speak about that relationship, the way that as we integrate more activity into our daily lives, it actually is helpful when it comes to stress, anxiety, even depression?
Certainly for stress and anxiety. One of the things that changes in your body when you become stressed or very anxious is that you get an increase of cortisol in your body, and that gives you the sort of jittery, worked up feeling. And that's your body preparing to either fight your situation or run away from it, the fight or flight response. And it's essentially you have too much adrenaline in your body. And if you exercise regularly, you'll be burning up a lot of that adrenaline. And so it'll help to bring your mood down to sensible levels.
So we're actually beginning to get a very, it's very comprehensive, the kind of areas that we're covering, and seeing the way that exercise benefits so much of our lives.
Yes, and you mentioned depression as well. If you exercise, if you go for a long run or go to a really good aerobics class or whatever it is that makes you feel like you're enjoying yourself, afterwards, you'll probably notice 30 minutes afterwards, you'll get a really feel-good feeling from it, and that's endorphins that's your body's feel-good chemicals coming into play. And it is actually possible to become addicted to exercise because it makes you feel so good. So it can actually lift your mood and improve depression.
So would you say for those who suffer with exercise addiction, could you speak a little bit more about that, the negative aspects of taking this too far to that extreme?
I think you just need to be careful to look after your body because there is such a thing as too much exercise, and it's difficult to achieve and very few of us do it. But I have seen people who've been addicted to running and they need to run 15 miles a day to feel good, and the same length of time to be able to sleep properly and things like that. So it can become a problem. But I think that's quite an unusual problem in our society. I don't think it happens to many people.
So something that I've come across from time to time is advice in terms of housework and looking at just generally increasing activity every day, and housework being as an example of integrating more activity into our daily lives. Yeah. Would you consider housework a form of exercise?
I would certainly consider it a form of activity.
Yes.
And absolutely encourage it. Anything that gets us up and about and moving and walking and stretching, and whether you're down on the floor dusting your skirting boards or pushing your Hoover around or whatever it is, anything that's keeping you active is a good thing. So I don't think it counts as your 30 minutes 5 times a week, but it all helps. And the evidence is that it's how active you are generally, not necessarily how much time you spend running marathons, that makes a difference to the state of your internal organs and your weight and your mood and that sort of thing. It's just about keeping moving.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you, Sue, about exercise in different phases of life? I'm aware that there may be people watching who are considering pregnancy, for example. They may not be taking part in an exercise program at this time, but would you have any advice for somebody considering pregnancy in terms of exercise?
Yes, the advice I tend to give my patients, and I think is generally accepted, is once you become pregnant, any exercise you're already doing is fine, apart from anything that specifically targets your abdominal muscles. So no more sit-ups or crunches or that sort of thing, but anything else that you already do is fine. Don't take up anything new when you're pregnant. So if you're planning a pregnancy in the next few months, start exercising now, and then you can carry on doing it.
What about people that may be watching and they're in an older age bracket, they're not used to a lot of activity day to day? Would you have any advice for people in that phase of life?
I think the advice is do what you can. So if you can walk, even if it's a very short walk, do that. And there are all sorts of chair aerobic things you can do now where you can get fitness equipment and just do weight lifts in your chair. You can do exercise around your house. Just keep it very simple and get advice from someone who knows you. So I wouldn't just suddenly go out and start exercising based on this program, but go see your GP, make sure it's okay, and then just do what you can. Anything is better than doing nothing.
So some of the typical obstacles that people might have when it comes to increasing their activity, what are some of the reasons that you've come across that might prevent people from exercising?
I think the 3 things that people talk about are time, money, and motivation. Regarding time, I would say it's one of my mantras that if you won't make time to be healthy, one day you will have to make time to be ill. That's more or less a given fact in most people. So we make time for what's important. So I think if you say you don't have time, maybe spend a bit of time looking at exercise and looking at the benefits of it. And maybe if you come to realise just how important it is, then maybe you'll make the time. And I do understand, I'm a very busy working mum and I know how hard it is. If it comes to money, there are plenty of free ways of walking. As they just said in that video, you could just go walking, take up running, get yourself a bike, that's not too expensive, or even just a decent pair of trainers. It doesn't have to cost all that much. The main problem, I think, is motivation. I think exercise can be hard work. We don't all enjoy it. And in the busy, stressful lives that we lead, as your other video said, sometimes you wake up in the morning after a bad night, your motivation just goes. You know, you want to do the bare minimum to get through the day and then go back to bed. And it's very difficult to motivate yourself in those circumstances.
It's really helpful to get your insights into those obstacles that people might have to really embracing exercise and hearing your advice on that. So I wonder if we could speak about helpful things that could help us with exercise. We've talked about getting adequate sleep and the way that actually helps us to integrate exercise. Also water, adequate water intake, hydration, that helps with exercise as well. Are you able to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, drinking adequate water is really important for many things, including exercise. If you're dehydrated, you will feel tired and lethargic, and so you won't be quite so motivated. Drinking adequate water is really important to hydrate your muscles, and that will help them to function properly and help you to build them up. It reduces your risk of injury, and it just helps with your metabolism in general. So it's really, really important to drink that much water, 8 glasses a day at least.
It's really helpful to hear your insights about that, Sue, and actually to complement what you're saying, we have a video all about the benefits of adequate hydration and drinking water. So we'll go to this video now and be back with you in a few moments.
First, water helps you build muscle. In addition to sustaining you through your workout, our muscles are about 75% water, which acts as an electrolyte in our body. And water helps lubricate your joints, preventing injury while you're working out and gaining muscle mass. Water can also help you lose weight. It breaks down fat and fat byproducts that have accumulated in the body, and if you drink it before eating, it acts like an appetite suppressant, causing you to eat less. But most importantly, it boosts your metabolism, which helps you burn more calories throughout the day. Water also flushes toxins from our bodies. Our bodies, especially our kidneys, straight out salt and other minerals that we take in. Without water to dilute these minerals and detoxify our bodies, we can form kidney stones, urinary infections, and other health problems. One rule of thumb is if you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated, and that dehydration causes your body to release a stress hormone called cortisol. So when you feel stressed, can't focus, or you feel irritated or fatigued, get in the habit of drinking some water. You'll be surprised how well it works, and water gives you an energy boost too, helping you get back to your normal. And if you've got a headache or feel one coming on, water's the best remedy. Pain pills may alleviate the pain, but it doesn't deal with the underlying problem. Finally, drinking enough water each day gives you younger looking skin. So does taking frequent baths, because typically dry skin is a result of a lack of water. But water doesn't just save you money on moisturizers, it actually prevents fine lines, wrinkles, and even stretch marks.
Welcome back to the Point. The benefits of drinking water there. So as we watched that video, is there anything that stood out for you in particular?
Once again, I'm struck by the water keeping you younger thing. Yeah, I think it's just reiterated everything that we talked about before, that it's so important for muscle function, muscle metabolism. It's essential.
That's really helpful to hear your insight on that. So I wonder if we could just speak a little bit more about water, because it is so important to our general health and well-being. We spoke about water recently on a program we did on nutrition, but it would be great to highlight it here too. The way that adequate hydration is so essential when it comes to fatigue and actually having more energy. So if I can just share this from an article that I came across and hear your thoughts on it. It actually says here that if you're feeling tired, there's a high chance that it could be due to inadequate consumption of water, which makes the body function less efficiently. In fact, fatigue is one of the first signs of dehydration. Are you able to share a little bit more about that?
Yes, I think water makes a big difference in terms of your energy levels, because if you are dehydrated, it just makes you feel really sluggish. Water boosts your metabolism in the sense that your kidneys is one of the key ways that your body eliminates toxins. That's their job. And if they've got plenty of fluids to work with, then they can eliminate toxins far more quickly. And I think that helps us to feel less tired and clears our mind.
So I wonder in the remaining minutes if we could come back to the ministry Fit for Life Forever and your work in this. Would you be able to speak about exercise in terms of our stewardship, the stewardship of our bodies, and as a devotional issue?
I'd love to. At Fit for Life Forever, we think that's what it's all about. Our bodies are a temple, it says that in the Bible, and even though it's become part of normal English usage, that's where it actually came from. And I think we have a responsibility to look after those bodies, that they're a gift from God, and just as we have time and money and our talents and things that He's given us, He's also given us these bodies, and we have a responsibility to look after them. But I don't think that should be some sort of punishment. I think it should be an absolute pleasure. It should be a joy to do. It brings glory to God. It's an act of obedience, we believe, at Fit for Life Forever. And if your body's functioning well, you've got so much more opportunity to get out there and enjoy the great world that we live in. So why wouldn't you?
And have you seen lives impacted by the grace of God when it comes to exercising, that we can bring all facets of our lives to God and see the Spirit of God work in these ways?
Yes, I have, many times. I've seen quite a few people being transformed by just moving more. I've got one friend who is in her 70s now, and she'd given up. She was in a wheelchair, and she learned about the benefits of diet and exercise. I must say it wasn't through Fit for Life for her on this occasion, but she did, and she told me about it. And now she's up and dancing, and she's thrown the wheelchair away.
That's absolutely wonderful. Sue, it has been such a pleasure having you on the programs recently. One, to talk about nutrition, and in this program sharing about exercise. Your insights have been so helpful, and we hope the program has been a blessing to you. We look forward to joining you at the same time next week, and in the meantime, may God bless you. Goodbye.